Hello. We are preparing for the last of the 3 eclipses. And these eclipses are, to say the least, challenging for all of us. And so this one takes place on Sunday, July 5th, very early in the morning. Now, eclipses are either new moons or full moons, and this, of course, is a full moon. And as a full moon, it's a lot more challenging, than the new moon. The full moons are about releasing, letting go of thoughts, attitudes, people, situations that, no longer contribute to the new wonderful things that will be unfolding later. But before you put the new clothes in the closet, you have to clean them out. Well, this full moon is going to be very potent, not only because it's a full moon and an eclipse, the third of the series of eclipses, but it takes place right on the sun in the chart of the United States. So for those of us in the United States, it's going to be even more profound, simply because we're living in an area that is going to be more fully affected by it. So let's begin by looking at what these degrees are. Now, as you know, or if you've been following me, degrees of new moons and full moons, can only happen about once every 19 years or something like that. And they're never the exact degree. They're going to be very close, So even if 19 years ago we had a full moon, the eclipse makes it so much more intense. Now, I start with the gates of human design and then go to the Sabian symbols in astrology. Well, the gate that the sun is in, and that is the sun in the chart of the United States. Now remember, where your sun is and what it signifies is there all your life. It doesn't mean every day of the week you are, acting 100% just what that sun is saying. But when it gets triggered, then it gets activated positively or negatively, depending on whether it is aspected positively or negatively to begin with. So the same thing with a business or a country. So the sun in the US chart is in gate 39, which is provocation and hardship. Now, you have to remember that this is where the sun was when the country was formed. So it was probably striving to get out of that hardship situation and be, independent. So when it was born, Saturn was squaring the sun. Now, if that was a person's chart, when Saturn squares the sun in a natal chart, I call that person a self-made person. We usually say a self-made man. And because the sun represents the male, I would say to that person, your father was a significant person in pushing you to be successful. Now, he would either do it by saying, come on, you can do it, and you shake it in your shoes, you do it anyway, or he says, you can't do it, and you figure, I'll show him, and so you do it. So either way, the male figure becomes dominant. Well, in this country, if you think about it, this country was built on self-made people. I mean, all the immigrants that came, they came with nothing. And they worked hard, which is the Saturn influence, and they built businesses and, became entrepreneurs and what have you. And so this country was built on self-made people. Well, every so often that sun gets activated. Now it's being activated by this eclipse. And so this gate, are we going to look at it as provocation and hardship, or are we going to remember that Saturn gave us the wisdom to know that we could push through and be successful, and that's what the country was born on. Because this is a full moon, the moon on the other end of it is in the gate of opposition and the fighter, okay? So there's a war against this sense of hardship or provocation that's taking place with this eclipse. So I'm sitting looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, wow. Now, this eclipse takes place somewhere in everybody's chart, but not everybody has those close degrees that it would affect them personally. But collectively, we will see the energy of this eclipse. Now, I then printed out the saving symbols, and they are also, I put them on my website so you can read them. But I'm just picking out the keyword, all right? So the keyword for the sun in the chart of the United States, the keyword is determination. And when positive, the degree is exceptional steadiness and a high sense of self-responsibility in every issue of the moment. And when negative, unnecessary aggressiveness and a self-defeating short-sightedness. So everything's got two sides. And so the sun in the country's chart is at that degree and comes under this, this interpretation. So the full moon is addressing this. And so we look now for 13 degrees Capricorn, which is the full moon. And that is a fire worshiper. And let's see now what the key word, ready for this, you're gonna like this. The key word is magic, okay? Here is ideality brought to the point of miracles, right up my alley. Every resource of the world is ready for the exaltation of self and the consummation of its ambitions. But when negative, it is consistent overestimation of personal capacity. So as we figure that this is an eclipse on the sun in the chart of the United States, and looking at the gates and looking at the degrees, are we going to take the magic to overcome? Now, you know, magic is one thing, but when we are tied into negative energy like complaining and aggressiveness and all of that, you're never going to get the magic. It doesn't work like that, you know? So this is going to be a major challenge. And the energy of an eclipse runs for about 6 months. So it's now till the end of the year, this is going to run. And if you take July 4th, which is 7 and 4, which is 11, all right, yeah, and that comes to a 2. And this year, 2020, is a 4. So the country is in a 6th personal year. And the 6th year is ruled by Venus, and it's Venus seeking harmony. But we don't seek harmony with negativity and aggression and opposition and provocation and all of these things that we can see a lot of that, you know, around us. Now, I'm sitting looking at this eclipse and this challenge, and it definitely is a challenge. And of course, I'm always looking for, you know, the positive way to get through all of this. But I'm coming back again to another challenge. That is that Pluto and Jupiter are conjunct. Pluto is at 24 degrees Capricorn, in exact opposition to Mercury in the chart of the United States. And Mercury is how we think, what we choose to believe, how we communicate. And it's not made this opposition since it's been a country, because it's 24 degrees Cancer is the Mercury, and Pluto was like 26, I want to say 26 or 27 Capricorn, so it already like passed this opposition. So this is really the first time that we've got this. But Jupiter is in the mix. Now Jupiter does one of two things. It's the planet of faith and optimism and abundance, but it magnifies things, all right? So it can give us that faith and optimism to change the old way of thinking. Mercury in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the crab. The crab will let you cut off its claw before it will release what it's holding. So the way we think, the old ways of thinking, have got to go. They have to get thrown out. They're not valid anymore. All right. We adhere to many traditions that are outmoded now. When we, became a country, if you look around, it's funny because I say to people, and I think I've said this before, the Catholics in this country are more Catholic than they are in Italy or Ireland, crying out loud. We've got the born again Christians, the Southern Baptists, whatever, and they're all, tied in to these old belief systems, and it's got to be done this way. You've got to turn to the left and turn to the right and what have you. And what we have to get back to in religion and politics is that throw out all that stuff and get back to the essence of spirituality. Okay? I mean, when they pushed for Christianity, they went out and murdered people that wouldn't believe in Jesus. And Jesus said, well, love everybody like I have loved you. I mean, the way that we have acted has been ridiculous. Well, now, and I'm strictly talking about the United States because that's where the Mercury is at 24 degrees, Jupiter's given us the opportunity to take that faith and optimism and, like the caterpillar, because Pluto to me, the caterpillar that breaks out of the cocoon to become the butterfly, all right? Now we've been doing this in some level through these other two eclipses. This is the final one. Now, what I'm hanging my hat on are two things. One is Neptune. Neptune is the miracle maker. Oh, wait a minute. Did I talk about magic a few minutes ago? Okay. It's at almost 21 degrees, just turned retrograde. And so Neptune is making a beneficial angle to that Pluto-Jupiter. I mean, Jupiter's at 23 and Neptune is almost 21, so that's pretty close. And that configuration is called, mathematically, is a sextile. I call it the Mafia offer. It's an offer too good to refuse. So Neptune is saying, do you want to be a miracle maker? Do you want to let go of the illusion of limitation? It's there for you, you can do it, but you're never going to do it if you buy in to the media and the negativity and all of that. The other day I watched Tony Robbins and his presentations. And in the first one, he talked about his childhood and his growing up, and oh my God, how difficult it was. And they sometimes had no food, but somebody found out, and I guess the people that dish out the food banks or whatever, brought them food. And when he became successful, he started donating. And this thing that he just did, he donated, what was it, 9.3 million meals. Does the media ever talk about that? Oh, of course not. They're not going to talk about the good things that people do. And I'm sure he's not the only one. A lot of either wealthy people or successful people, creative people are doing all kinds of wonderful, positive things, but the media doesn't want to hear that. Now, you have to ask yourself something. If the media's success is on negativity and everybody is watching the media, then what is that saying about you? I don't watch the news, okay? And so you're saying the more you watch this stuff, there's something in your own being that is tying into all this negativity. So this eclipse is giving us the opportunity to let go of the illusion of limitation, to let go of that illusion of limitation and take the faith and optimism of Jupiter and break out of that cocoon that you've been in probably all your life, all right? Maybe a few lifetimes. To help you do that, Mercury is also, Mercury is in a parallel, which means it's in the next sign. Mercury is 7 degrees Cancer, and Venus is 7 degrees Gemini. So they're in an exact parallel. Now, a parallel, there are two signs. And unlike the other aspects in astrology, parallels don't affect one another. The old saying about marriage, like it should be like a roof that is supported by two pillars, and the air can, move between them. So these two planets stand, each offering their own positive energy independently of the other. Now, Mercury is how we think, what we choose to believe, all right? Venus is love. Venus is love, money, creativity. That's basically what she rules, all right? And Mercury is all about the mind and communication. So these two are both standing at this degree, supporting the roof, so to speak, of where we are, while we're being challenged to get out of that cocoon that we've been in, let go of the negativity, the limitation, while this crazy eclipse is challenging, the chart, the sun in the United States. And, there's going to be some people are going to say, what are you kidding? How are we going to ignore that? It's not about ignoring. If you hear it, if you do watch the news, or if you see it on Facebook, just stop and send out love and send out positive expectation. Because if you go, oh my God, did you hear this? Did you hear that? You're just giving it more energy, and it's going to affect your own life. So let's all get together with this and realize that when the country was formed, Saturn squared the sun. And that is a self-made man. So the country was formed for individuals to work, to make their mark, to know that they could do it. And they did. They did. And I mean, the Irish were prejudiced against, the Italians they were prejudiced against, and and the Jews and everybody else, and they all lived through it, and they all made their way through it, and they built lives and became successful. And I remember back in the late 50s working with a woman. She was Irish, and she had married an Italian. And it was like, oh my God, it was, like she committed a mortal sin or something. I mean, we've come a heck of a long way since then. But we have to remember how far we came. But it wasn't handed to us. That's the whole point. It wasn't handed to us. Self-made. What does that mean? It means you say, I can do it. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to be successful. And what have you, I'm going to build things. And that is what's being challenged now. So obviously in this very hard time that is happening, it's hard especially hard when we've had it easier than past generations. You know, I'm not saying easy, but I'm saying easier. And now it's up to us how we're going to look at it and how we're going to use this energy. I say become a miracle maker. Take the gift that Venus is giving, okay? Begins with self-love, self-respect. When you have self-love and self-respect, automatically it goes out to other people. And then watch your words, not just your words to others, but your words to yourself, okay? Because how we think, what we say has an effect on us. And of course, it has an effect that goes out there. So it will be time for the challenge. And as I said, this is the third eclipse. And so, you know, regardless of what it looks like out there, remember, we've been through awful things before, but we went through them without media, okay? I remember when I was reading about the other viruses that we had, and, you know, I had to like really think. I couldn't remember. And, you know, because I was raising my kids, I didn't even notice, because it wasn't in front of your face every second. It was still bad. A lot of people got sick, a lot of people died, but the majority of people weren't walking around, you know, drawing it into their lives because it was in front of their face. Whereas now, it's always, you know, pushed in front of you. And as I said, there's a lot of people, like as I used Tony as an example, there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things. I mean, he called all those food pantries and made sure that they, you know, they had, and he donated a meal for everybody who watched his free, you know, show. And I wound up donating 9.3, I think it was, million meals. Did the media say it? And I am sure that many, many other good people are doing many great things. Focus on that. Say, wow, look at that. You know, if I can do one little thing, if I can smile at somebody, or, you know, help somebody, or just meditate, send love and what have you, you will feel good. You will be in the right place. And collectively, we'll shift. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Okay.